Who would have believed that this little item is giving me much better quality air? I can breathe again. Good morning, everybody. It's Stephen here for Bland Designs and the Idiot Quilter, and welcome to my weekly vlog number 410 for June the 9th, 2025. And hope everybody had a great weekend. Weather was really nice here this weekend. It was warm. I'm wearing shorts and sandals again, and I love my shorts and my sandals. So, yeah, it's nice. Now, today, it's another story, but we'll come to that. But first, let's take a look at what I've been working on. First thing up is the gnome quilt, all finished, all bound, the whole bit, and it's now hanging on my wall in my stairwell going down to this room. So I'm really pleased with the way it turned out. And I did a whole thing on So Chatty last week, if you haven't seen it, where I talk about how I came up with this idea and what I'm doing, because essentially what I'm doing is I'm taking existing embroidery files and combining them to make a new scene. We'll talk more about that maybe tomorrow. But in the meantime, excuse me, I have started a new project. Let me just get the slide up here. Here we go. Yes, I have started another Quilt of Valor quilt. I've got a few of the blocks done. There are 6 different designs in blocks, and each one needs 4 or 5 of the individual blocks, and it's coming along. I'll have to say my progress is a bit slow. I don't know what it is these days, but I'm getting choked up thinking about it. I just don't I seem to flit from one project to another project, and I've got about 3 quilts hanging over my head that I've got to make a concerted effort to get done. They're done. The tops are done. I need to get them onto Lucy and get them quilted. And I don't know if I'm going to get to one of those today or not, because I started another embroidery project as well. And it is time sensitive because I'm making it for some friends of mine as a gift that I'm going to see in the middle of July. So yeah, I got to get on with that. I've said before that I like being busy, but this is ridiculous. It is. And I only have myself to blame, nobody else. So, let's move on before I get overwhelmed by anything more. Okay. So, YouTube channel of the week. It's for you 3D printer people. It's called I Supersized My Toys 3D Printing. Well, I think it's kind of self-explanatory, but here's my review of that YouTube channel. This week's YouTube video is one about 3D printing, and you know, size does matter when it comes to many things, but especially with 3D printing. And now with the advent of almost plug-and-play machines, now they've turned their attention, the producers of it, to making their machines bigger so that we can make parts that are gigantic. And this particular video, I Supersize My Toys 3D Printing, he talks about how he has done this. And there are ways that you can make things bigger if you put them into pieces. But watch this video if you're interested in making things a little bit bigger than what you're used to making on your 3D printer. So you'll find a link to that video clip in the show notes below. You'll also find a link for Sewing with Stephen every Wednesday, 9 a.m. Eastern Time start time, finish at 4 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Come and go as you please. Enough said about that. Moving on down through my list of what I have linked there. I have links for my friends' YouTube channels. Just a reminder, I have about 4 free patterns that are linked there as well. They are my patterns. No, there's no fee, nothing for them. You just need to click on the link and you can download it to your computer. And there are links for anything I talk about today and links for last week's videos as well. So lots of links. Okay, so what's the weather like today? Well, you know, every morning I go out for a walk at around 7 o'clock in the morning. And let me just switch over here. And I am up in the air about this morning. It's wet. There's rain in the forecast right now. the forecast is saying that there shouldn't be any rain again until, oh, let me see here, until about noon. So I don't know. I'll have to see. I'm expecting an important phone call at 8 o'clock this morning as well. So if I do my walk, I want to get out there after I get this done, get the walk over with, and be back home in time for this phone call. You will find out about this phone call, by the way, probably on the Idiot Quilter tomorrow. So a little teaser there for you. So right now it's 14 degrees C, which is comfortable, not really warm, not really cold. And the high is only going to be 19. Now I say only 19 because yesterday I think we had a high of 22, which was very pleasant. 19 is still okay, but still feels like spring. Of course, we are still in spring, technically. Yeah. So anyways, now tomorrow there's even more of a chance for rain, 70%. Or no, sorry, 40%. But Wednesday's supposed to be really sunny with a high of 25. So that's something to look forward to. And the rest of the week is, well, cloudy, a little bit of rain. Yeah, rain starting on Friday, having it on Saturday, having it on Sunday, having it on Monday. Okay. And temperatures there range from 17 to 18 degrees as a high. I'm really hoping it's raining out west where all the forest fires are. Yes, it's that time of the year again, and the smoke is affecting us. You can see a haze in the air, and even though in Ontario, well, we do have a few little forest fires way up north, I think, on the border to Manitoba, but it is affecting us too. There's a haze coming, and I imagine in the United States, in a lot of the states, according to the smoke map, yes, they have such a thing on the weather up here. It's showing that it's really creeping down across the United States, just about everywhere. So sorry about that, not our fault. Although I did hear something on the news yesterday. They caught a couple of people out in the prairie provinces who were deliberately setting wildfires. What the? I mean, come on. Why are you doing this? That is just ridiculous. Well, they caught them, and I hope they throw them away for life. Because, no. This is serious business here. Trees are a natural resource in Canada. We have a thriving lumber business. But even more so, it's wrecking communities. It's, people are being evacuated all over the place. Their homes are being destroyed. The infrastructure of their towns are being destroyed. I mean, knock wood, I'm very lucky where I live on Lake Ontario, in southern Ontario. But this is devastating. And why? Why? I don't think Mother Nature is happy with us. I really don't. Because they're having drought-like conditions in some parts of the West. That's creating tinder dry wood, trees, and that kind of thing. And so, a slight spark, and the spark might be set off by, lightning, cars, whatever. And it doesn't take much, and away it goes. And then trying to control it and putting it out, well, that is a job that's beyond imaginable. It really is. These people, these men and women who go out there and fight these fires are heroes. They really are. Because this is a war zone. A war against Mother Nature, really, who's trying to wipe us out. Can't blame her at times. Human beings, not the nicest people on the face of the planet. Yeah. But anyways, that's what the weather is looking like today. Okay, so what's pissing me off this week besides wildfires, which I can't do anything about? Pride Month. Well, Pride Month's not pissing me off. No. Pride Month, if you're not aware of what that is, the month of June is, I don't know if it's an official thing or not. Here in Canada, most municipal governments recognize June as Pride Month. And, it's a month of celebration, celebrating the diversity and everything else that's tied up with the LGBTQ LGBTQ community. Of course, it culminates here in Southern Ontario in the Pride Parade that's in Toronto, and it attracts about 1 million or more, 1 million plus spectators every year. It's a huge event. We don't go. Too many people. Now, all those people are not members of the LGBT community, but they are allies, or they just come out to see the freaks. Yes, we have that. And yes, there are freaks. Okay? That's the one thing that pisses me off about the Pride Parade. But there's not much we can do about it. And I'm being very intolerant by suggesting that people who dress up in leather or half naked or whatever are freaks. That's their lifestyle. Ooh, yeah, that's a lifestyle. Wearing leather is a lifestyle. Being gay or lesbian or whatever is not a lifestyle. You're born with that. So there is a fine difference between the two. It does really irk me at times when I hear people say to us, well, your lifestyle. It's not a lifestyle. Now, if I chose to wear leather all the time, carry a whip, and, get into the bondage and discipline kind of thing, that's a lifestyle, because nobody's really born in leather. But to be gay, lesbian, bisexual, transgendered, all of that kind of stuff, that's in your genes. And yeah, that's not a lifestyle. That is just who you are. Okay, so that's number one, pissed off that these people, are marching in the parade. And actually, it's not so much that they are marching in the parade. It's the reaction from the population that are not part of the LGBTQ community, the spectators, or as we like to refer to them, the straights, the breeders. Yeah, we have terms for you too. And, they come out because they want to see the freaks. Yeah, that's not a good reason to come out to the parade. You're going to see it, but it's not a good reason. Okay, you come to the parade because you're showing your support of the LGBTQ community. And in Canada, most people are supportive of it. It's written into our Human Rights Code. We have all the rights that any other breeder would have. So, yeah. However, that's not what's happening in the United States, and it's scary. This year, well, first of all, Trump started off with two things. One thing is he got rid of what's called DEI, which is diversity, equity, and I forget what the I stands for. Anyways, I'm sure somebody will fill in the blank in the show notes below. Well, just hold on a second. I will find out. So DEI stands for diversity, equality, or equity, diversity, equity, and inclusion. Okay. And basically it says here as a definition, encompasses the symbiotic relationship, philosophy, and culture of acknowledging, embracing, supporting, and accepting those of all racial, sexual, gender, religious, and social economic backgrounds, among other differentiators. So this is something right now that Trump has gotten rid of as something that's mandatory for businesses to follow, which means they do not have to use the guidelines of DEI in their hiring practices and things like that. So they can discriminate. Basically, it is authorized discrimination against minority groups, against members of the LGBTQ community, etc. And that's not a good thing. And so what a lot of companies are doing this year when it comes to Pride celebrations is they're pulling out their support. And these are major corporations. Now, I don't understand why they're pulling... Well, I do. They're pulling out their support because some of these corporations like Pepsi, Home Depot, Google, you name them, Target, Walmart, there's a whole long list of companies in the United States that are no longer going to support Pride. The American president himself also said that they would not be supporting Pride. They're not going to make any proclamations or announcements about it, which is kind of ironic because World Pride Day this year was being held, I think it was just this past weekend, was held in Washington, D.C. But Walter did some research about that and found that it wasn't a very big parade. Well, why? Because World Pride Day pulls in people from around the world. And it switches what country it's going to be in every year. We attended a World Pride Day when it came to Toronto several years ago, quite a few years ago now. And it's a big thing. But Trump has banned certain countries from coming to the United States. No one wants to travel to the States right now. It's not a comfortable place to be, to say the least. Canadians are not going to go down for the most part, and other countries in the world are basically not coming to the United States. So not a surprise that the parade wasn't that huge. Also, who's going to want to fly from another part of the world to come to a country that doesn't support Pride Parade and are actually openly against the LGBTQ community? I mean, nobody wants to do that. No. So anyways, corporations have pulled out. Well, the money is needed to keep the parades going because, like anything, it costs money to put something like this on. And, well, that's just sad because basically what that is sending a message out. These companies are sending a message out that you are not wanted, which is going to kind of kick them in the face. Because as a community, the LGBTQ community does not support businesses that don't support us. And there's been plenty of history, precedent for this in the past. Why do these companies support Pride in the first place? It's a money thing. They know the gay dollar, for lack of a better term, there's a lot of it out there. I mean, think about it. If you're gay, if you're lesbian or that, probably you do not have children. And so you have disposable income because children cost money. Now, that's not to say that everyone in the gay community, etc. I'm getting tired of saying LGBTQ. Okay, so when I say gay, I mean LGBTQ. All right. Lots of gay people have children. And that's their choice. And it's their right as well, at least in our country, in Canada, it is. However, we usually have, a lot of disposable income. And these companies know that. And they want our money. But they want their money and not give anything back. But it looks bad to the rest of the world if they pull out. Well, no, they've been sanctioned to pull out if they want to. No consequences. By their president, by the president of the United States. Yeah. So that's just a slippery slope because the next thing you know, other groups, and it's already happening. I mean, it's always been there in the past. Other groups, religious groups especially, things like that, discriminate against the gay population. But when the authorities, when the government turns around and says, bad, like our government in Canada with the Human Rights Code, they think twice about doing it openly. I mean, there's always going to be prejudice. There's always going to be discrimination because as long as there's always people. Because, some people are stupid. So, yeah. But this just reinforces bad behavior, bad attitude, and in fact promotes it. And these people feel that it's their right. It's their right to put us back in the closet. I am not going back in the closet. I said this yesterday. Can't get in there. Too many shoes. Yep. Not going back in. We fought long and hard. And when I say we, gay people in my age group, we fought to get what we have today. We fought to be seen in the law as a citizen, not as a second-class citizen. We fought to have the right to marry whoever we love. We fought the right to not be discriminated in the workplace, and we're not going backwards. And here in Canada, that's very much entrenched in psyche as well as in the laws of our country. However, the United States has an influence on Canada. And so with these companies doing what they're doing right now in the United States to Pride, we have some copycat ones. And there has been some sponsorship pulled out of at least the Toronto Pride Parade. And the Toronto Pride Parade is the largest Pride Parade in Canada. And it may even be the biggest one in North America, but New York City seems to want to always say they're the biggest and the best. Yeah, whatever. But it doesn't, we're not really getting into the size game here, okay? The point is, our country is heavily influenced by what happens in the United States. And we have people here in Canada that like Trump and think he's wonderful. They're idiots. But they're the ones that are putting pressure on businesses to pull out their support, or they're putting pressure on other individuals to see the world through their eyes, which is a very discriminatory way of viewing it. Yeah, that's happening. So I guess what I'm really pissed off is we thought we had come so far. These kinds of things that are happening, and there's going to be more of this as we go down the road, as long as the great orange pumpkin, is in power in the States, it's going to get worse. But as a gay man, I am not going back in the closet. And you can't make me. So, and I'm not the only one that feels that way. Watch out, bigots. We will rise up. And there's a lot of us. So, just a little warning there. Okay, let's move on to, what do I got? Oh, this is where I usually show you grow lights and what's happening with those. Well, I'm not going to show you the grow lights because not a heck of a lot is happening. Excuse me, sneeze. It's the smoke. Yeah, there isn't a lot happening with the lights right now, but I thought I would show you my philodendrons. Yes, you may recall that when COVID first got started, I decided, for some reason, don't know what the reason was, that I needed to take cuttings from my main philodendron plant that we've had forever and start new ones. And it just grew from there. And at the same time, I was doing 3D printing, so I was making pots. And I need things to put in the pots, right? Flower pots. So it got a little out of control. So on the weekend, I went to the dollar store. I got some new pots. I actually got, I don't know, they look kind of like what you'd use for window boxes, long rectangular ones. And I got new potting soil, and I repotted and cut back all my philodendrons. And now I have a wonderful new display of philodendrons. So I made a little video to show you what I'm talking about. I'm going to insert it right here. This week I want to show you a project that was long overdue with my plants, and that's my philodendrons. This pot had a lot of hangers from it. They were thin, leaves were turning yellow, mainly because this thing has not been repotted in many, many years. And so I decided to repot it. I cut everything back, and it'll all come back up. Right now it's been a little been shocked because of the changes I made, but new soil, fresh soil, no more great big huge root ball, because that's all that was in there. And I cleaned up all of my other philodendrons, and I decided to consolidate them in these pots I bought at the dollar store. They're a little bigger. Rather than having all these individual pots that I printed on a 3D printer, they served their purpose. And so again, I cut them all back, replanted them, fresh soil, the whole bit. And they're starting to perk up a little bit. It's only been about a day, 2 days since I transplanted them, and so they're not looking quite as weepy, but they're coming along, and they will. Now, in the meantime, it finally got warm enough, Walter felt confident enough to start planting our container garden on the deck. Now, he's in the process of restaining the deck. He's done half of the deck, and that's the half that has the pots on it. He's doing this in stages, but unfortunately, he needs 3 dry days in a row when he does this, so it will dry properly. And like I just gave you the weather forecast, and it's not looking good. So the other half of the deck, maybe a while before it gets done. But in the meantime, we've got our container gardens are planted, and I made a little video clip for you of that. So Walter's been busy getting our container garden up and running for this year, as you can see. So I have no idea what these things are. These planted here. Oh, he's got a little stick. Little stick says this is a cayenne pepper. Cayenne pepper. I don't think we grew any of those last year. And this one is a cantaloupe. This is an experiment to try to see if we can grow cantaloupe. I don't know how successful we'll be. This is a tomato, of some cherry tomato. Now, this is a pepper. This is a pepper. And I think this is a pepper. And these were ones that came from our grow lights downstairs. So hopefully they will survive the transition from indoors to outside. We'll see what happens. This is another tomato plant. What's it marked as? Just says tomato. And I can't get the tag out to see. It's stuck in here pretty good. Oh, wait, here we go. Kitchen mini tomato. Okay. And that's a tomato. And this, I think, is a cucumber. Yep. It's one that'll grow vertically. And we had good luck with that last year. And this is a jalapeno pepper. So with all of that, it is one of my favorite times of the year, because when those plants out there in the container decks start to really come on and grow up, they're beautiful. Lovely greenery and growing our own produce. I mean, it's a salad garden, let's face it. But you heard we have a couple of experimental crops happening, the cantaloupes. That's going to be interesting. Last year the experiment was with cucumbers and that worked, and so we're trying it again. We don't get a lot of produce. Well, we usually get a lot of tomatoes, usually all at the same time. Squirrels love them. They're just sitting there licking their lips when they see them on the vine and they're green, waiting for them to ripen up. So it becomes a race, us against the squirrels. Who's going to get out there first? And the damn little buggers, they'll take a cherry tomato, take one bite out of it, and then they leave it sitting on the railing of the deck, just as a little bit of a, to stick the fork in a little deeper into us, like, ha ha, you didn't get this one, I did, nah, nah, nah. Yeah, they're nasty like that. I think they plan it. I don't know. You see them all gathering in groups, there's something going on. And don't get me started on the chipmunks. They're so cute and so evil. Okay, I'm digressing. So anyways, the garden's coming along. We still have stuff under the grow lights. We've got a good cup of lettuce coming up in that. We're not going to put lettuce out in the planters this year. They take a while, and sometimes they get bugs or things like that. So yeah, the ones indoors are a little bit better thing. And peppers. We still have peppers indoors as well. So, perpetual. We do well with peppers and lettuce. Yeah, and basil. Okay, so new products. Well, let me tell you a story, shall I? The story is about my cell phone case. Last September, Walter and I both decided to upgrade our telephones, and we got the latest iPhone 16 Pros. And of course, at the time, I bought a case for it as well. And I bought it directly from Apple, and it's a silicone case, and they're not cheap. It costs me in Canadian dollars about $75 for one of these cases. Well, while we were in the Netherlands, I noticed that my case was peeling, and you can see here in the picture just what I'm talking about. The silicone is peeling off of the inner hard kind of frame that the silicone is wrapped around. So I thought, well, crap. Well, I better get a new one. So I went on to Apple's site and I ordered exactly the same one again and paid another $75 for it. And I got it really quickly. But then I got thinking about it. But wait, if you buy something from Apple, they usually have a certain warranty on it. So I checked this out, and yes, sure enough, this case has a 1-year warranty. So long story short, because I went through 6 people, 2 hours on the phone, and hung up on 3 times, and it went over 2 days. I finally got this solved. They sent me a brand new case. In the meantime, I have the one that I bought. And you could still use this case as well. Just doesn't look very nice. So I'm well set up for cases for my iPhone. The thing was that really kind of got my goat, though, was I have dealt with customer support from Apple before, and I found it excellent. Not this time. Not this time. And I'm surprised at it. But should I be surprised? Just like any other company, they've probably farmed their customer service out to a third-party company. And although the lady that I dealt with, was very, very nice, very apologetic when she hung up on me, and stuff like that, still, this was a simple problem. The case is under warranty. The case is broken. Replace with new case. But no, it was so much more. But anyways, new case. So that's looked after. What else do we have that's new? Well, these little suckers. These are absolutely wonderful. Out on our patio, which I've got all cleaned up now. I should have taken a picture of it, but yeah, I've got it all cleaned up because Walter was making me feel guilty. He was out cleaning up the deck. I thought I should clean up the underdeck, which is where our patio is. And I got everything out and got everything, vacuumed up, the spider webs cleaned out, all that kind of stuff from over the winter. And I have a set of these electronic candles, not this particular set, but I've had them for a few years, and they're getting grubby looking, and they don't really work that well. So I decided I'd invest in a new set. In fact, I bought 2 sets because they're sets of 3s, but these ones caught my attention on Amazon because they have LEDs inside them and they change colors. Now, this is a still photo, so you can't see them changing color, but that blue that's there cycles through gradient wise to other colors and then back to blue. It's very calming, very soothing kind of a thing. And when we're sitting under there drinking our second bottle of wine, yes, because we do that, it's just very calming and relaxing. So yeah, I'm very pleased with this purchase. And by the way, these candles don't look like they're plastic when you see them in real life. They're actually wax. There is no flame to them, just the electronic flame you see, but they are coated in wax, so they feel like a candle too. So that's kind of cool. All right, so I bought that, and nope, don't want to show you that yet. And I think that's all that's new. Okay, just an update though on the air purifier that I bought and I showed you last week. Loving it, absolutely love that thing. In fact, so much so, and because of the smoke and stuff like that that's coming through, I am seriously considering buying a second one to put upstairs. But how do I know this is working? Well, it was an unintentional experiment. I decided I wanted to, get some air circulating through the house one day, last Friday or Thursday. There was a bit of a breeze, so I opened up the patio doors upstairs. I opened up our front door because we have a screen in it right now. And I opened up the patio doors down here. So you get, circular cross ventilation. Now the number on the front of the air purifier usually reads about 3 or 4. And that's very good air quality. The doors hadn't been open for more than 5 minutes, and I'm looking, and the numbers are going up. And at one point it got as high as 63. That's danger, Will Robinson, danger. At that level. So I quickly shut all the doors, and it took it a little while to come down. It took about half an hour, but then it got back down to normal. So that's how I know it actually is doing what it says it's supposed to do. Now, I did open it up yesterday and take a look at the filters just to see if there was anything to see, and I couldn't really tell. I think what I have to do is I have some new filters. I need to take out one of the existing filters in the purifier and compare it to a new one that's never been touched and see if there's any difference in the way they look. But it takes out microparticles, so probably need a magnifying glass to see it, or a microscope or something like that. But anyways, as far as I'm concerned, it's working. I am not coughing. like I was before, although you go outside now and, if you do any kind of physical activity, you will kind of start to cough a little bit. They're recommending we don't do that. So anyways, but yeah, I really like this. It doesn't take up a lot of space. It's very quiet. It does its job. And in this day and age of when you're buying other appliances, it's more of a rarity that you find something works rather than not work. Okay, so what about the 3D printing? Can I print that effing thing? Well, I did a little experiment here too. Always experimenting, I made these keychains. Now, yeah, big deal. But what the big deal was is I didn't have to do really anything. I put in the name I wanted on them. I put in what color I wanted. And essentially this program that's produced by Maker World, who are affiliated with Bamboo Labs printers, does it for you. And it does a really cool job. So I made one for Walter and I made one for myself. Actually, I like to make one that says Idiot Quilter, but I'm not sure how that will work out. I'll have to experiment with that and see, because there may be a limit to the number of letters that you can have. I have to explore that a little further. But Maker World comes out with these, I forget what they call them. I want to call them Maker Bots or something, which are actually programs that will create something for you, and you just put in the bare minimum amount of information that's needed, and away it goes. I mean, it's really kind of cool. And it's free. It's free. So if you're into 3D printing, you probably know about these already. But if you don't, go to Maker World and you'll find them. Yeah. And okay, well, I was talking about the philodendrons and the new flower boxes and everything. Well, I found this just by accident, actually. Timely accident. These are those globes you put water in and they trickle into the soil. Walter says this shouldn't work because you need a vacuum, because the water will just all gush out of them and go down into the plant. Well, yeah, he's right. It does. We have one of those fancy glass ones, they were all the rage for a while. They're sort of home decor. That's in the mother plant. And right now it's got water in it and doing its thing, but I'll forget to fill it up. But what I'd like about these, and I put one in each one of the boxes, and do I have other pictures? Yeah, here's another one. I made them in different colors. And there's another one. What's the beauty of these are it makes watering the philodendrons so much easier. I have a little watering can up there. I fill it up, and when I go in to water the philodendrons, yeah, it sometimes hits the leaves, and then the leaves divert the water over the edge, and I get it on my counter. Okay, I'm a klutz. I admit that. But these, with the opening in them, I just pour the water into these, and away it goes. So it's much neater, and I'm all about neatness. So yeah, so this is what I would call a practical print. And let's see, did I have anything else to show you? No. So I've done a few other prints this week. A couple of them did not turn out, which was a shame because they took all day to print. And when I pulled the supports off, it basically pulled off parts of the print. This happens. So I have something called support material, which is supposed to help you to avoid that problem. I have to figure that out. It came with the printer, and you can buy more. So I may have to figure out how to incorporate that into a print and see if that makes a difference. And if it does, I'll buy more of it. It's not particularly cheap for a spool of it, but you don't use all that much either. So we'll see. Always something new to learn. Okay, that takes me to old video clips, blasts from the past from S&W Lives. And this one, we're talking about house cleaning. Yeah, something I hate doing, but yeah, I think I'm getting up to the point in time where I got to do some here. But anyways, here's our take on house cleaning. I don't like to be here when the house cleaner comes, so I usually do shopping when he was working, and he used to go into work for that. He worked at home most of the time, but
in the last
On
couple of years.
Tuesdays, I would go into
But
work.
he would go into work. So fine. But now he's retired, we're both here. So I said, so what are we going to do on Tuesday? Well, I forgot all about that Mr. Social Butterfly has a luncheon and a dinner date that night with his retired bunch from his
There's
work.
a bunch of people from work that have in the past year started up an every other month luncheon group to get together. So I said I'd go. And the first luncheon's November 14th. And then I have a group of people I go out to dinner with sometimes that I used to do stained glass with. And they were supposed to go out last Tuesday, but the person that was organizing it couldn't make it anymore, so they moved it over to this Tuesday, which I'm not crazy about, because I'm not really crazy about going out for lunch and going out for dinner on the same day. But we are, so.
Well, you are.
I am. He's on his own.
I don't know what I'm doing that day. I might go up to the craft store that's in a place north of us and look around and spy for the owner of the craft store here in Oshawa that I'm good friends with. I don't know. I may do that. I have some other pieces. I have to pick up a few things for my mother. She needs some calendars, for 2018. She needs a couple of big ones because her social calendar just fills up so quick. Like not at all. And she wants one for her purse, so I can get her one for her purse. I will do that. And I will take myself out for lunch, probably over at the shopping center. I'll probably either have Thai or Chinese, whatever. Check out the magazines, possibly in Chapters, the bookstore, and possibly have a caramel macchiato while I'm waiting to get back. And if I get really desperate, I'll go over to the art gallery and start looking at the permanent collection, so I know when I do the tour next Monday, a week from this Monday coming, I'll know what I'm talking about. And Bev says, I have a housekeeper come in 5 days a week to clean my house and clean, so why can't you? Huh?
Oh, she only comes in one day every other week.
Whoa, 5 days a week? Does she cook too?
She got a big house around.
If I won one of the big lotteries, a huge one thing I would have is I'd have a cook and I'd have a chauffeur. Okay? Because I don't really like...
You have a chauffeur.
Yeah, you.
It's me.
Yeah, I know, but you're getting kind of senile. Bev also says she cooks, she cleans, she makes sure that I take medicines that I need to take. My God. Actually, I just, in the process of trying to hire somebody to come into my mother's place every other week, 1 week to do some light housekeeping and clean her bathroom and change her linen, and then the week after that, or the next time she comes in, to do her laundry and stuff for her. My mother makes herself decrepit. She's only 77, but she does have difficulty walking, but there's nothing wrong with her mind. And
she has difficulty walking because she doesn't do any walking.
Yeah. Well, it's okay. We can say these things because there's no chance that she'll ever see it, because my mother doesn't know.
She doesn't know what
she doesn't have a
technology.
computer.
She doesn't even know what YouTube is.
No, she doesn't. So, but she knows what program she likes on television because she watches that all day long. I love my mother, but she gives me a pain in the you-know-what. And Bev also says, oh, bye, Dorothy. I'm just saying that if you want a housekeeper to come and clean your house, you are to be able to have a housekeeper come and clean your house. Yeah. I mean, I don't make any excuses for it. I look at other people and go, well, who's the stupid one here? I have better things to do with my life than to chase after dust bunnies. Well, as a school teacher, I used to, for years, before we ever had a house cleaner, I would spend my whole day on Saturday pretty much cleaning. I hated it. I hated it because I was tired from the week out. I had other things, and in those days too, I still had schoolwork I had to do on the weekend as well. And no, life is too short. And, expense-wise, ours doesn't cost a lot. She's $100 a pop. She comes twice in a month. It's well worth the $200 I spend in a month. And I know she's cheap because other services could cost a lot more than that. So we're lucky. And we've had her for a long time. And She's not maybe the best, but she's pretty good. And like Walter said, we're pretty much neat freaks anyway, so she has an easy
Not
job.
like we sort of let things go.
No.
If I see something that needs to be vacuumed, to vacuum.
Oh, by the way, did you pick up your underwear out of the bathroom?
Yes, I did.
Oh, good for you. Yay! It's the one thing I don't want the housekeeper having to do. Pick up your underwear with that.
So that takes me to events in the past week. Well, we'll talk more about this tomorrow, and we did give you a sneak preview of what I bought, but we went to Rhonda's Quilting Creations annual sale, and it's always great. We went the first time last year. We didn't think we were going to make it this year because we were in Holland when she originally scheduled it, but it rained when she had it, and it's outdoors. So she rescheduled it for this past weekend, and it was nice and sunny, as I said, and we went there, and we were right there. We were probably the first people at the sale, and yes, I wasn't going to buy a lot. Yeah, you know when I say that, what it really means. Yeah, you're not going to buy as much as you may have in the past, but you're still going to buy a lot, and I did. But I'll talk more about that and show you what my haul was tomorrow. Brooklyn Spring Fair, as you know, was this past weekend. Small little country fair, so they call it. Pretty sad, really. Again, we'll talk more extensively about this tomorrow on Idiot Quilter, and I have a little video to show you too, so you'll get the idea of what I'm talking about. But I got my quilt results. I didn't get a fluffy ribbon, but I got a ribbon. So if you saw Stephen and Walter live, you know what I'm talking about. If you didn't, I'll be talking about this in a little bit more detail tomorrow on the Idiot Quilter. And another thing this weekend, several of you made comments that you want to see Walter make Dutch pancakes. Pannenkoeken. I may have said that right. I may have said it wrong. Whatever. That's Dutch for pancake. Anyways, Walter did. Sunday for brunch, we had Dutch pancakes. They're delicious, but I did take a video of Walter making them, the process of making them, and that I'm going to insert in here right now. So this morning, Walter is making something very interesting that you've heard us talk about. He's making Dutch pancakes, or as they're said in Dutch, he's making
Pannenkoeken,
pannenkoeken.
which is translation pancakes. Because pan in Dutch is panne, cake is koek,
Koek.
pannenkoek.
So if you give a cake to a koek, is it a koeka? So anyways, he's getting out his stuff. So what goes into this? Milk, flour, eggs.
No, that's flour, vanilla, cinnamon, eggs, milk.
Now we do have one little problem with the milk this morning. The milk in our fridge was a little bit sour. We don't drink a lot of milk. And of course we're Canadians, so we buy it in bags and we freeze it. But the one that was in the fridge that wasn't frozen was bad. So Walter pulled out another bag from the freezer, which means you kind of have to defrost it. And the quickest way to defrost a bag of milk is to put it in
Warm water.
warm water. And we're gonna see there, it's melting pretty fast. If you put it in the microwave, you'll cook it.
Well, I did put it
Well,
in
you
the
put it
microwave
there
for
for a minute or two when it's a solid block. But yeah, plan ahead when you make Dutch pancakes. But this will work out because
Yeah.
how much do you need of milk?
Not much, but I'd like to fully defrost it because otherwise it'll be,
Milk crystals.
yeah.
Milk crystals. So yes, so this is another Canadian feature here, bagged milk. Not all across Canada though. There are some parts of Canada that don't have bagged milk, but in Ontario we have bagged milk. So you've got all your ingredients in here and you've mixed it all up.
Not quite.
Oh, you got more to put in?
And then it has to sit for a little while.
To ferment?
No, for it to
To what?
It just needs to sit because the flour has to expand or whatever.
Oh, expand. Okay, so...
If you don't let it sit, then it won't cook properly.
Oh, all right.
And I have a feeling that's what you did last.
I don't remember reading an instruction that said let it sit. I don't know where I got the recipe. Where'd you get this recipe?
On the internet.
Oh, okay. So according to the instructions, now this batter has to sit at room temperature for about 30 minutes before you go on to the cooking stage of it. It's going to be a bit before we get the pancakes. Yum, yum. So what are you doing now?
It's going to get ready to cook the first pancake.
So you're heating up your non-stick pan, but you put a little oil in there, did you?
Oh, yeah. Because non-stick pans still need oil.
They don't need oil.
They need oil.
Oh, but they're non-stick.
Yeah, well, that doesn't matter.
Okay, so lightly coat it with a little oil, and now you're heating it up. And then what do? Pour in your batter. But your batter is thicker, isn't it? Like when you make this?
I mean, thicker than what?
Well, the last time you made these, your pancakes came out, they weren't like crepes.
No, they aren't. They never come out like crepes.
But the ones we had in Holland.
Yeah, they were like crepes, but they're cheap, so that's about
Oh. Okay. So your batter has rested.
The only way I knew Dutch pancakes were thicker pancakes than the ones we had in Holland.
Yeah.
So whatever, I don't know why they make them that thick. Other than that, you're saving money, I think.
No. Well, cheap bunch, cheap Dutch. Personally, I like them a little thicker, but no matter what, they're still delicious. So how do you know if your pan's hot enough?
I don't know. I guess.
My grandmother, when she showed me how to make regular pancakes, she said you took a little bit of water just and flicked it onto the pan, and if the water came in like a little ball and moved off, then your pan was hot enough. Press your finger down on it. See if it's hot now.
Yeah.
Oh, he's so pleasant when he cooks. Not really. We're waiting for the moment when the batter will hit the pan. Here it goes.
So not really hot enough.
So how do you tell when to flip them over?
I just guess.
My grandmother said
I know you're supposed to wait till you get bubbles formed, but
When the
problem
bubbles
is
form
that,
and
that
it's-
there's no rising agent in this.
Oh. Well, she always said when the edges stop looking glossy and you got some bubbles coming
Yeah,
through.
well, I've looked till like it looks like it's almost cooked across the top.
Yeah.
So then that's when I flip it.
Yeah, okay. Why you turn on the oven?
To keep them warm.
Well, I knew that, but I'm just explaining it for people watching this. You almost need one of those big semi-round spatulas because these are so big. Of course, we don't have one of those, but
I turned it too soon.
well, if I had done that, that wouldn't have worked that way. Can't you pick up the pan and just flip it in the air like? As we look at it a little bit more. So Walter just flipped his panakuka. Now doing the other side. First ones take the longest. Try and get your temperature right on your pan. Look at that. That's a big pancake. But they are a lot like a crepe. Well, yours aren't much thicker than what we got in the...
Oh, actually this one is fairly thin. This one will go fast.
Now that pan has a curved bottom, slightly raised in the center. Would not a perfectly flat pan be better?
Yeah, well, I don't know. Maybe.
Maybe. I don't know.
If I got one. I don't know. This is just the pan we have. So.
What, you mean we don't have one? I thought we had pans for everything.
I still have my carbon steel one, but I'm afraid that stuff will stick to it.
Oh.
I have to experiment with that one a little more. It's not a video worthy.
Not video worthy? Okay, so see now the gloss has come off of that. That's when my grandmother said you should flip regular pancakes. Ooh, that one looks good. It's yum yum. It's yum yum. So the Dutch pancakes are now done, and this is what they look like. So you take one.
The top one's the smallest one.
Fine. And what? No whipped cream?
Yeah, I thought about it.
We had whipped cream.
We have whipped cream.
Well, I don't know if we really need whipped cream. But now you put whatever topics of your choice, toppings that is.
Well, I didn't get any brown sugar either.
Well, we got syrup, right?
Yeah.
Okay, how come I've got this thing there? Okay. Suri wanted to take over. So there we've got some mixed fruit here, and we've got butter, and we've got syrup. This is Walter's special, no sugar added syrup. This is the good stuff, Canadian maple syrup. And so now we're going to enjoy our pancakes. So here they are with the fruit and the syrup and the butter, and Walter's about to try one to see how they taste.
Yeah, these are a little thinner than I usually make them.
So,
very good.
are they like what we had in Amsterdam? Yum. So that's a Dutch pancake, or a
Panakoek.
yeah, that's what he said. So what's coming up? Well, we have a pop-up sew day coming up on Saturday, June the 21st. That's not this Saturday coming, it's the one after. So next week, on my videos for that week, there will be a link for the pop-up sew day on Saturday, June the 21st. I'm going to have another special pop-up sew day on July the 12th, Saturday, July 12th, hiccups, and I call it Stephen's Birthday Bash Pop-Up Sew Day. Had it last year. It's now becoming an annual event. And what makes this pop-up sew day more special than most of my pop-up sew days is not just the fact that it's my birthday. Well, sort of. My birthday's about 2 days after it. My birthday's actually on the 14th. But this is on Saturday, July the 12th. But I have prizes. Yes. You know, usually you get gifts for your birthday. I give gifts on my birthday. So that'll be something that you may want to attend. And of course it's free, and you don't have to book ahead for it or anything like that. There'll be the Zoom link for it will be in the show notes the week before that date as well. We are off not this week, but next week to the Canadian Quilt Show. So I will be taking video of the vendors, of the quilts and everything like that. And I may be putting that up as a special edition of So Chatty. And then, of course, at the end of July, we're off to London, England. And while we're there, we're traveling to Birmingham for the Festival of Quilts. So, yeah, there's lots of things coming up. Meantime, we're about to phone up the company that put in our new windows a year or so ago. It's a couple of years ago now, because we want them to do the rest of the house. And so Walter's been trying to figure out what we want. And when I say we, what he wants, I go along for the ride because he does the research and I'm always happy with his choices. So shouldn't be any different this time. So we have to get that on, which means Walter has a new task. He wants the window replaced in his sewing room. Means he has to clean the sewing room up so he can get at the window. This is a double whammy. New windows and, for a limited amount of time, possibly Walter's sewing room that looks not like a bomb went off in it. Mind you, it's his room. Not for me to say. It doesn't affect me in any way. Okay, so I think that's about it for me this week. So I hope you have a good week. And tune in for the Idiot Quilter tomorrow, and So Chatty on Friday, and of course Stephen and Walter live on Sunday afternoon. We'll see you later. Bye for now.